Alright, so back out at the garage. I'm going to do some more work to this differential. We'll see how long I can stay out here before I get too cold. I got the heater running, but it's still on the cold side. I went and bought a gasket. A lot of people are like, absolutely unnecessary, just use the gasket maker, which did come with my kit. So I am going to use a combination of both, to be quite honest. This will cover, it's in pretty good shape, but I want to make sure it's going to seal. So I'm going to put the gasket down first, I believe. Hold on. Get this thing open. Yep, that's the right gasket. Got the gasket maker, I had it in the house, so it's nice and warm. It would have been pretty difficult to work with today otherwise. I think really I want to do just a bead around basically on the seam, but keeping it inside so that you don't want to get any of the gasket maker inside the transmission. That's a no-no. You don't want any of that in there. Let's pop this open. And I'm going to put a couple I was thinking about putting the bolts in here. You know, like a couple just to hold it, but I think I'll be okay. And I had those surfaces cleaned, by the way. And it says give it 10 minutes. Got my bolts ready, 10 of them. Not because it's a 10 bolt, because that's how many the cover takes. It's called a 10 bolt because there's 10 bolts that hold this ring gear on. So that's a common misconception. One which I held until I did research. Alright, we'll give that a little bit of time to cure. Hopefully it'll cure up fine out here in the cold garage. Alright, that's been some sufficient tech time. Let's get this on here. If you're doing this on the car, it's best to line it up with a couple of bolts to start. I figured there's no way I'm going to miss it doing it off the car, but apparently I just did. Close enough. So you want to bring those down just till they're snug and wait a little while longer and then torque them down. Went with new bolts only because I thought it would look kind of cool with the zinc coating. No other reason. I wasn't inclined to paint my axle safety red like Pole Barn Garage. That looked pretty awesome when he got done though. I'm not going to add the fluid right now, so I've got some playing around to do. Nobody caught it last week when I put the axles on. It's probably because he's in the bolt-on style, but I didn't put my brake housing on there. That, I believe, needs to go on first, so I gotta find my brake housings. I got them set aside here somewhere and get those put on, so I'll still have to pull the axles out, I think, one more time in order to do that. This top bolt I'll have to take back out later, but that holds the brake line. So just gonna snug these down. kind of evenly, but not much. Just enough so I see it squish a little bit out. And what that does, it leaves you a little bit of cushion when you do go to tighten it down, that you know you'll get a good seal. At least that's what I've been told. Just checking them all because a couple seem loose. Okay, so we're going to leave that alone for now. Let me go get my axles, or my brake hubs, get the brakes in, get the brake line mounted on here. That's kind of be the project for today at least. And then we'll look at seeing what we have so we can get this put back up under the car. Alright, so just rechecked them all again once again. They're all nice and snug. Let's go ahead and get our brakes on here, or the brake housings on here. Like I said, I actually I put the axles in and forgot to put them on. Maybe I should do that every video. Forget to do something and see if you guys catch it. Alright, next task, I get the axles out of here. We'll start on the end here, that's the easiest to get to. So there's this, I'm guessing, anti-vibration, anti-heat, I'm not sure what that is. That goes on here. That was stuck on the back of this when it was originally on here. It was stuck on the back of the brake housing. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Those two back in there. Here. Obviously, if you can't get these mixed up because the e-brake line has to go towards the front of the car. And that's on there. And as mentioned before, and someone in one of my forums commented, oh, you didn't put the axle seals in. Well, this is actually what's called a sealed bearing, and that actually is what makes the seal and keeps the grease, or keeps all the lube inside the axle. So this really doesn't ever get greased like typical axle bearings do on a newer style. So I believe that's why GM went away from this, because these outer ones really don't get lubed anymore once they're put in. Just takes a little wiggling. You got to get this bearing up in here. You got to get your splines lined up. And these bolts, if you watch my disassembly video, you've got to get the bolt. You've got to tighten the bolt through this hole. So let me go get my extension. I don't have my extension with me right now. For the life of me, I can't find my medium extension. So I'll put two short ones together. As long as it fits in here, I think I'll be okay. It's going to lay on the other side of the car probably. Alright. Just turn this around so you can get through that hole. And repeat. And drop the bolt inside where you can't get to it. Alright, magnet time. I just found my magnet earlier. Where did I put that? There we go. Let's not do that again. I'll get these other two in there and then repeat with the other side. And then I want to work on hooking up the brake line that goes across the top of the axle. So we'll come back and work on that in just a little bit. I'll finish this up. Alright, so I got both of the hubs on there. They're all torqued down. Good to go. Now I wanted to put the brake lines on here to make sure I got those all hooked up before I put this thing in the car. It's a lot easier to put them on now than it will be later. So let's go work on that. Decided to, I got to get the brakes. I want to get them mounted on the axle. So here's my old brake line. Okay. And let me move you over a little bit. There we go. So here's my old brake line. And obviously I just cut the hose when I took it off. So I bought a new flex hose because I figured that one was shot anyway. So I've got a new flex hose here, and this goes up and goes into the bulkhead on the car, and then hooks into the other lines. So that's what this clip and stuff is for. So I got from Classic Tube is who I bought my entire brake line kit from. It comes in a big box. The one line that runs the length of the car, you do have to straighten out. I recommend watching a video because I'm going to watch it again myself when you straighten it out so you don't kink it. Funnily enough, I trust myself to make fuel lines but not brake lines. So I am going to run my own fuel lines, but I thought, you know what? Custom bent brake lines, the price wasn't that bad. Yeah, it's a nice peace of mind. So when you grab these brake lines, oh, this one you can't see it no more. Yeah, here it is. They have labels on every piece, and it says here, left rear axle line. This one here says right on it, where's it at? It says right here, right rear axle line. So there's no mixing it up, and obviously I wanted to like match them up, make sure I had it the right way. The bends look to be nearly identical to the originals. This one's bent up because I kind of forced it off of the car. So let's go ahead and get these assembled on here, and then I can get them on the axle, and then we can go on to the next project. All right, so these are a flare fitting. This is not a pipe fitting, so you do not need any Teflon tape, that style of tape. I'm not going to tighten them until I get it over on the axle so I can see exactly which way it has to go, but I got them started. So let me go ahead and get set up over on the axle. I painted up the clip. I got the rust off. There's a clip that goes on here. So there's a clip that holds this. I mentioned before I had a bolt that I have to take out of the differential, so this bolts onto the differential. This goes up under here. It's the piece is actually threaded itself. This goes under here, and this kind of keeps this from twisting, supports it, and holds it down so it's not bouncing around. So I cleaned that up, painted the nut or the bolt and everything. Let me get this label off of this one. Now that I know I have it in the right spot. And let's go get that put on the axle. So as you can see, there's like a little notch out of this cover. If I had been thinking ahead, I would have had this bracket ready. But I didn't even have it cleaned up and painted yet. I don't know what I was thinking. But that goes here. And holds the brake line. Now, I think I'm missing a clip on one side. I think I'm missing a clip on the passenger side for this. Let's get this on here. thing is I just want to get it on here so I know that the that's easier said than done, isn't it? Okay. Huh. Oh, there we go. Okay, say that's, there we go. Now, should have just enough line, if not a little bit too much. And I'll have to play around with bending this some, but you wanna be careful with it. I've got clips here that this is supposed to tuck down into, and a clip here on this side. Just tuck them in there and route it. These look to be pretty precision bent, so I'll have to, like I say, I'll have to play around with it. I think once I get it in the first two clips, I'll be good. I also don't have these. Well, those are bottomed out, so they were good that way. So let me go ahead and get these poked down in here. All right, just a quick note here. I'm not quite done doing this other side here. Just got it started. Use line wrenches. I highly recommend starting the line on the wheel cylinder first, and then doing the inside. So I obviously took it loose here. This is kind of a goofy, it's kind of a goofy uphill angle going into these wheel cylinders. And it was kind of a bear to get started. So definitely recommend doing that first. I had to tweak the end of the line just a little bit to get it to go. Not much. And I mean, that could be variations in, you know, manufacturing, variations in my axle. So, I mean, so far what Inline 2 provided was excellent quality. I'm just having, say, just a little installation stuff that comes up. I'm gonna put this back out. Come on, get him down in there. And then now I should be able to wiggle him in here. Let's see what I can do here. I think I got family coming out here in a second, so I might have to take a break. The minute I turn the camera off, it decides to start. All right, well, run that down to that flare hits inside of there. That, you know, so it makes a good contact. Got a good seal on both sides. And I've got these tightened up, I think. Let me double check. Yep. Yep. So that's on there. All right, so that part's done. She's pretty much ready to put back up underneath the car. I still got a little bit of work under the car. Get it prepped, and then I'll be back. All right, so I've been working under the car for the last day. I don't know if you can see how much stuff's on the floor here, but all of that was like an undercoating that was under here, mostly in the wheel wells, fortunately. So I got that all out. I sprayed a new undercoating under there. Obviously a lot less thick than what I had. So I think I'm gonna call that a day. I'll call that a week. I got obviously a lot of cleaning up to do. So I'm gonna work on that, just clean up, get this video edited and put up, and then I'll start on the next project, which is getting this under the car. Kind of already started on that. I pulled these out. I gotta double check, make sure I have hardware for them. Pretty sure I do, but I gotta double check. Can't put it in if you ain't got the bolts. So again, appreciate everybody following along. We're getting there. We got this part together. Like I say, I've got a bunch of cleaning up to do. Get it all cleaned out, get all the bolts, get everything organized so that I can actually actually work. It's kind of hard to work anything if you don't have the pieces, and I can't work in a mess like that. I wouldn't be able to crawl around on the floor, roll stuff around at all. So anyway, thanks a lot for everybody following along. Hopefully there was some good information here. If nothing else, like I say, I'm just documenting this, so I have record of everything I've done. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. See you on the next video.